Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us on this session of Perspective Nation. Our topic today is going to be on human resources, basically our corporate potential. We'll look into resume, salary, and promotion. Our special guest tonight is Dienye. Dienye, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
It's our pleasure having you for the first time on this platform, and I hope this is not going to be the last. In the next hour or so, we're going to be having a very interactive discussion. As you know, most of our audience are immigrants, and we're always looking for a job or how to promote ourselves within our career space. And we'll be asking you a lot of questions. But before we start asking you questions, we'd like to know who you are, where you come from, and how you became an HR specialist, and what specialty in the human resources are you involved in?
Thank you very much, Mr. Efuange. This is an honor to be part of a Perspective Nation. And what I must say that what you're doing for the community is laudable. And, I attended the last session and I learned so much about, very technical things and I was amazed. So thank you so much for the opportunity to share a little about me. And of course, I look forward to many more opportunities in the future to interact with you and the audience. So first of all, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead. I was just about to ask you, where do you come from? How did you get
Yes.
into the space you're in?
Yeah, so I am Nigerian. I am also an immigrant. I immigrated to Canada in 2016. And prior to my immigration into Canada, I was already working in human resources back in Nigeria. So my first degree was in business education. And I also, while I was working, I had my master's MSc in international management. But I also have a certificate in strategic HR practices. And I just have continued to do and complete professional development courses within the HR scope. So prior to immigrating, I had over 10 years of HR experience. And then coming to Canada, I would say the benefit of the challenges I had has helped me to learn better how to not only coach people, but also mentor other immigrants as well in helping them build their career here. So I am a certified HR leader in Canada and also a certified HR professional also here in Canada. Currently, I work with Metso Autotech Canada. I work as a senior HR generalist. So I've been lucky to have worked in different functions of HR. So I'm an all-round HR professional.
Yeah, I like the fact that you use your experience as an immigrant and having that knowledge back in Africa and transferring it here and going through the challenges, because most of the time that's what is the stumbling block. Like we are trained in some other countries and then we move over to Canada and it becomes a whole difficult, oh, it's a whole different scenario, different environment, different regulations. How did you transition smoothly? Like how did you get to Nigeria and get here and then get into your field of study or your practice or your experience? You just basically continue.
Yes, I would say for my first degree, it was from Nigeria, but my master's degree was from University of Liverpool in the UK. However, I completed it while I was working, so it was online. My certificate in HR practices was also online, and that was from Cornell University in the US. So I was lucky to have worked with an organization that is an international organization. So that gave me, that field to learn different ways of working internationally. So coming to Canada, I had transferable skills. And then I also recognize that there are different employment laws and different labor codes and regulations. So I also needed to understand the labor market that I was in. And that led me to further professional development here in Canada. And because I also wanted to get certified to be a HR professional and practice in that field, I had a lot of going back to school to do. So I would say being open to learning realizing that there were gaps I needed to bridge in my career helped me keep an open mind to learning and doing the work, because you just have to do the work. And most of the time I forgot because of the challenges I was facing, I forgot the achievements that I had, and I had to rely on mentors. I had to rely on other people within the community to remind me of who I was, and who I am still. And that really helped me rebuild my confidence. And that's part of the reason why I am committed to supporting other people. Nobody should ever forget their achievements over the years. And so whatever challenges that come, your achievements over the years would be your riding armor as you face them.
Okay. As you know, a lot of us who come out from different environments of studies, or like you studied international, when we get here, one of the biggest challenges we have is how to even write a resume. And I would like us to start from that point. What are some of the things, like you're in the HR department and you screen a lot of resumes for different corporations. I know you are now in mining, but let's make it general. What are some of the challenges that you see people like me, people like you who came from another country? What are some of the big challenges you see on their resumes? What are some of the things that are not supposed to be there but are there, or some of the things that are supposed to be there and are not there?
I usually say that you never know who is the HR person that is reviewing your resume. So you always hope that the person is open-minded and unbiased. So first of all, I will start off from what do you need to have on your resume and what do you not need to have on your resume. For instance, your personal information, you don't need to have it on your resume. I know back home, personal information, your gender, your age, your state of origin, your religious group and all of that was part of the expectation to be in your resume. However, in this environment, those are personal information, and you don't have to put it in there. And here as well, I would say, which is a standard practice wherever in the world, your resume is representing you. So what do you need to have on it? Your professional history. You need to capture it in detail, what you do. Now, sometimes people have had over 20 years of experience. They have a very long CV. I had, that problem because I'd worked in so many projects. I struggled to reduce my CV to 2 pages. It was a struggle for me. So realistically, you don't have to have all your experiences on your resume. Your resume should capture the essence. What's your profile? What's the overview of who you are? That should be captured at the top. What's your skill set? What are your achievements? When you have your chronological representation of your professional history, you should capture that in a smart format. Smart format in the sense that you should be specific. Were there any achievements that you had in that role? Did you make any savings? Was there any milestone? Huge, things that you're proud of that you achieved. Put them there like a summary, right? Especially if you had so much responsibilities that you did. One other thing to add there is the softwares that you are familiar with. When you do a job search, every job posting has its job description. So you have to, just pay attention to what are job descriptions. What do they look like here? Sometimes it's the same thing, but a different word is used to describe it where you're coming from. So just be familiar with the keywords that are used here. What's that thing known as, so that your resume is indicating that you do have that exposure or experience.
Yeah, so I can pick 2 things that you talk about: your personal information, that we should keep that away, as well as we have to highlight our achievements. Now, when, as you say, as you know, like in some communities, your personal information is very important. Your tribe is might even lead to hire. But here in Canada, am I supposed to put my name, my address, my phone number? When you talk of personal information in Canada, what should we limit and what should we not limit?
Yeah, a lot of times I've also asked myself, why do I need to put my home address on my resume? Right? That's that can be a security issue, right? So I would say there's no hard and fast rule about putting your address on your resume. It depends. Personally, I feel that it depends on what you're comfortable with. However, in your resume, you have to indicate what location you are, right? So is it Mississauga, Ontario? Of course, you should have your phone number and your email address. If you have a LinkedIn, also include the LinkedIn profile link, because that's how people can reach out to you. If I see your resume and I don't have any contact information, how am I going to reach out to you? And most times when people send in the applications, they are agreeing to share those information with the recruiters. Some organizations will say, are you okay with other recruiters within the organization viewing your resume? So you do have the right to limit access to your application as much as you want.
Yeah, now let's come to that address thing, because now with the remote working and this online working thing, is it really necessary? If the job, for example, says it's remote, are you? Well, and the reason I'm asking this is because I might be as well based in Toronto or Mississauga, but there is some remote job somewhere in the east or Calgary, for example, and they say remote. Should I bother putting my address if I'm?
I would say that's a trick question, Mr. Efuange. So I would say, so if it's a remote job, right, it means that if you put Toronto, Ontario, it doesn't matter for the recruiter, right? However, when you put your location, it indicates sort of that you're not evasive, right? So your resume kind of speaks about you, and it can be interpreted in different ways. If you look at a resume, there's no phone number on it, or there's no email, there's no LinkedIn, there's no indication of where they are located, then it gives room for me to interpret that maybe they are not located in Canada, right? It gives room for me to start asking, are they eligible to work in Canada? All those kind of, so you kind of can take away, you can kind of provide answers to certain questions that will come up in the mind of whoever that is reviewing your resume. Because at the end of the day, even though you're working remotely, you are still going to be residing somewhere, right? There might be labor laws pertaining to that are related to the province where you're residing. The company, will have to think, if they don't have any payroll office there, they have to think about what's the administration of hiring someone from that location, right? So you don't want as much as you want a job, you also don't want to waste your time in any application. So from the point of where once they see your address and they feel, oh, this person is in Toronto, we don't want someone in Toronto, better for you. So you're not wasting your time with such an employer if they don't need someone from Toronto.
Okay, let's talk about achievement. So how can I make my resume stand out? What type of achievements should I be listing? And let's take you are in the mining sector. You hire engineers, you hire people who do drawings and things like that. You go through all these resumes. What are some of? Can you give us some examples based on your experience? You can take anything, maybe the healthcare and any other industry. What are some of those achievements that should be on my resumes to make it stand out from the others?
So I would say, if I have to say, let's say I'm hiring for instance, say HSC coordinator position, right? So I would be, if I see a resume that has contributed or was responsible for a plant of operation of so and so level of, say, maybe, let's say, how will I put it now? So they're responsible for a plant that had a workforce of maybe 100, assuming 150 employees that had maybe 20 lines that were running and had zero recordable or zero LTIs. That's a big achievement. So if they say have worked for 5 years or LTI free and all of that, maybe also capture certain aspects of how they contributed to key performance indicators, right? What they specifically achieved. I would say that for me, it's also indicative that they are, that's an achievement. If they had an award, so sometimes they maybe have an employee award, maybe employee of the year award. That's a big achievement. Some people have also had recognitions from their community for community-based activities. Sometimes the organization will have community relations activities that they do. And if the employee is supporting in those aspects and there's some recognition, that's also worth it, right? So, but when it comes to specifically job-specific questions, say in the job description, it indicates someone with experience in so and so. It's important to highlight it. If you had any form of notable achievement regarding those specific requirements of the job, highlight it, because that's what makes your resume stand out. You have something that aligns with the job description.
Okay, so I understand that sometimes you have to throw out resumes. Like what are some of the things that you're like, oh no, this one I'm not going to look into this one? What are some of those items that from the get-go you're like, okay, we can't even start?
So if I'm recruiting an administrative role, right, and your resume is not well formatted, that's already indicating that you're not good with Microsoft Word, right? So, and a lot of times, if the organization is not using an applicant tracking system, most organizations do. So applicant tracking system is a system that will help sieve the resume, shortlist, and all of that, right? So if it's a computer, the computer will be, that's the ATS is just sieving through and just shortlisting the resume based on criteria that have been set in the system. However, if it's a human that is going through it, most of the time they have very limited time if they have to go through so many resumes. So if the formatting of your resume is all over the place, you make it easy for a decision to be made on your resume. If it's 5 pages, 4 pages, right? And it's not like it's a very senior position, you're making it easy for one to say, this is too many to go through, right? And then the other thing is, if the profile, the summary profile it's not catchy enough, the way you describe yourself there doesn't match, because most of the time that summary is what indicates that there's something here for me to look further and review the resume. Going through the resume, you can briefly run through and see it. Personally, I spend time on every resume I see. If I look at a resume, I look at the location. If I see that this person is applying from outside of Canada, right? The company, if someone is outside of Canada, it means that the company will have to sponsor that person to come work in Canada. Do we have, are we able to do that sponsorship? If the answer is no, then easily that I will sieve that candidate out. If the company is able to sponsor, then I will explore, the opportunities that are out there for that. So if we're looking for someone within, maybe the person, we're looking for specific locations, even if I find an interesting resume that is outside of the location where we're looking, there's further discussion of, are you willing to relocate, right? So if your location is outside of that location, off the bat, indicated there, I'm looking to relocate, so that way they know that they can reach out to you.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot on this one. I'm going through Medsotech Autotech website, and I can see jobs related. I can see jobs related to customer service, data analyst, dewatering test work, estimator, field service coordinator. Like you have, and these are all jobs in Canada. Global technical trainer, LCS contract manager. Why are you not hiring? Why is this post still vacant?
We are hiring. We're looking for the best candidates, right? So, so this call is not on behalf of my company. So
I know. That's why I'm putting you on the spot. I know. Sometimes these positions you don't get the best candidate. Well, let's move ahead. Let's talk about career potential
and maybe I should also add, the job market right now is very hot. There's a war on talent. So there are lots of yes, there are lots of people that are unemployed, but there's also so much opportunity. There's competition for the talent that is available. Sometimes people don't know that these positions are out there, so they may not know the job boards that they can subscribe to. They may not have even used the keyword search when they're searching for jobs. They may not know how to use it. So there is, other than writing your resume, there's also the job search skills that needs to be developed. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. Companies are struggling to fill roles. So maybe also seeing how people can improve on their job search skills can also help with their job search efforts.
Okay, so let's move from job search to somebody who already has a job and they are comfortable, but they don't know what is the next step. Because that's a huge thing within the African community, the African and Caribbean community, is you get in a position and some people stay 4 or 5 years on the same position while everybody is being promoted. So how can I identify, say, career path or some promotion path within an organization?
Okay, so one of the things I will say is, first of all, whatever role that you're doing, you have to do it really well. Doing it well is what indicates that you're ready for the next level. And then you also have to ask for it. So just because you're ready doesn't mean that it will be handed down to you. Asking for it means you're applying to opportunities within your organization. It means that you're having discussions with your manager about, your career aspirations. You're talking about, what's the career path for my role? If you want to continue to be in, a particular expertise, you can explore different options within organizations. So know what your company's recruitment guideline or recruitment policy is. I know that a lot of organizations would rather promote from within than hire from outside, because promoting from within, shows that retention. It helps with retention. The transfer of knowledge is also there. Succession planning is also better. You're able to retain talent. The people who have worked within the organization for long, they have history with the organization, so they're able to, grow and most maybe be loyal. Although the word loyalty, when it comes to being employed with an employer, is still, I would say, is under question, because really loyalty also is about the time I'm with you, how committed am I when I'm with you. So, but there's there are opportunities within. Search for them. Don't wait for it to be handed down to you. I know if I give you from the perspective of some of the struggles that a lot of immigrants have also, shared with me, is that when they're in an organization, they feel, okay, I should be lucky enough that I should feel lucky enough that at least I have this job. I have to prove myself. Maybe if I show my hand too much for more, maybe it might be perceived wrongly. We need to understand the environment where we are here. Maybe from where we're coming from, maybe there's a need to be more conservative. This environment, you have to show your enthusiasm. If you want something, you have to show that this is what I want. It's good to be ambitious. So it's not just about saying, I'm ready for a promotion. What are you doing to get that promotion? What are you seeking opportunities to learn and grow within the company? Are you also raising your hand for projects? Maybe they're looking for someone to cover for someone that is going on vacation or going on leave, or they need someone to support in any project. When you show your hand, you're creating for yourself an opportunity to build your network within that company. You're also providing opportunity for other people to see you excel in and showcase your different skills. That's how they get to know your creativity, and they can now even see you taking on more roles and responsibilities. But you have to, first of all, want it. You have to do well, you have to want it, and you have to go for it.
So yeah, we have a comment that says, so true, we definitely need to be seen and create our own future. People, if you are listening and you are taking part, you are free to send in our comments or questions or add to whatever thing Dienye is talking. But Dienye, so you say we need to show up, we need to show our hands, we need to talk to. I get somebody born in Cameroon, raised in Cameroon. I come here, I start working, and I think I'm doing all my efforts, and I think I deserve promotion. Who am I calling? Am I calling Dienye that I know that she's my African sister? Am I calling my direct boss? Am I calling the head of the company? How does that communication go?
I would say have an open and honest conversation with your manager. There are performance reviews that happen. If it's not every other quarter, maybe it's at least every annually, right? When you have this performance review exercise, you should also be talking about your goals and aspirations, your career aspirations. How, what are the professional developments that you need to have. Now, when you discuss you don't just get up one day and say, oh, I want a promotion. You have to work towards it, and that's kind of being realistic and being practical. For instance, you're doing a job. Let's say you are at a clerk level. After the clerk level, there is maybe an officer. Then there is a specialist. Then there is a senior specialist. Then there's maybe a supervisor, manager. There's a ladder. Look at the job description for each of these levels and prepare yourself for them. Don't wait until the opportunity comes up. When you prepare for it ahead of time, maybe if, let's say, your target is to become a specialist, speak to when you're having those career aspiration discussions with your manager, you can put the discussion towards professional development, right? I see myself growing within this organization. I want to, there's this program I want to do. Is it a certification? Is it a software you want to learn? Those professional development activities you're having is part of what is helping you develop and prepare you for that promotion. It may not happen, immediately. However, it's building that portfolio and profile for you to prepare you for it. So sometimes maybe for people who may not be comfortable talking to their managers, because there are instances where people will be uncomfortable. Maybe they don't trust their manager has their best interest, so they're not able to speak to their managers. I would say seek a senior person within the organization, someone that you trust. Get a mentor. Let them, share your worries and ideas with them. Let them know how they can support you. A lot of organizations have budgets for training that are allotted to people annually. Use those budgets, use the training, develop yourself, put in the work on yourself, and then be ready for when the opportunity comes.
All right, let's talk a bit about the performance review, because I think that's is something that some people are not ever aware of, and they don't even know how to complete a performance review, and they don't know what is needed from them. Can you give us a bit of insight into when people are doing their performance review? What are some of the things they should be doing? What are some of the things they should not do?
So performance review, there's every organization will have their guideline on performance review. So first of all, you have to know what your guideline says. It will tell you the formats of developing your targets or your key performance indicators. So those activities, the activities that you do that supports your KPI and your targets is what is being reviewed or assessed or evaluated during your performance. If your performance, your target is to to create more engagement within employees, and you're not doing that, all you're doing is, like for instance in HR, let's say my KPI is to improve employee wellness and do engagement activities, and I'm not doing any of those activities. All I'm doing is just hammering down on recruitment and hiring people, hiring. Yes, I'm doing something good. I'm hiring a lot of people. However, when it comes to the targets that I was assigned, I haven't met them, right? And if it is a bonus target, it means that I will not get any bonus pay, right? So be strategic about your efforts. Understand what the goals and objectives are for the organization. What is the KPI? The KPI will, from the organization, will trickle down to every department, and then it trickle down to you as an individual. Understanding what your KPI is, or your tasks, your target tasks are, will help you know what you need to do. It gives you a better understanding of your role and your responsibility. It brings to life for you how you can support your organization's success.
Yeah, I know you've talked multiple times about having a mentor within an organization, and I just want to bring this. Are there any resources for you that, if I'm within an organization, are there some resources that I can access that will help me track my achievement, or help me direct me towards my goals, or if I want a promotion? Are there, because sometimes we don't know, as you say, sometimes we don't trust people, maybe not because of the people, maybe from our background or whatever reason. Are there any other resources that you can suggest, or can you talk more about the importance of having a mentor within an institution?
I can speak to both. So regarding having or tracking your achievements, I would say I would say look at your company's performance review guideline. There will be a system that is used to collect the record. So if it is a form that may be in Excel format, or it's a web form, or it's a software, there are different softwares organizations use. So depending on what the organization uses, some company, I don't want to assume that all companies are able to get sophisticated performance management systems. Some of them may just have a typical maybe Word form or an Word template, right? So look at what you have in your organization and work with that. One thing I've also done, because a lot of times we may forget what we've achieved. Right? 1 year, you're like, oh, what did I achieve? You can't remember. Each one you complete, save it, create a folder, performance review for or my achievements for 2023. As you're achieving it, you're putting it there. As you're doing it, you're putting it into that bucket. It helps make it easy when it's time to complete your performance review exercise. It's also easy when you're talking to your manager and you're saying, I'm ready for that next responsibility. So the other question you asked was about getting a mentor within the company, right?
Yes.
So getting a mentor, some organizations too will, maybe they might have mentorship programs that they have. I know, for instance, my organization, we normally will post opportunities for mentors to apply and for mentees to also apply, and then they match them. So check if your organization has programs like that. If they do have programs like that, take advantage of it. Sometimes it may be hard. Maybe you've applied once or twice and you've heard no, and you're kind of demoralized. They're never going to pick me. Keep trying. You lose nothing. You lose all by not applying, but you lose nothing. You stand a chance when you apply for it. So if your organization doesn't have mentorship programs, look at also professional associations. A lot of professional associations do have mentorship programs. I know that the Council of Nigerian Professionals also run mentorship programs. I know that Mr. Efuange here is a mentor to people. I'm also mentor to mentees. So look for people outside the organization, within your professional body, within even, just your network. There is always a mentor out there. It might be in the environment where you are, or it might be external. You have to invest in yourself for you to achieve or target what you want out of life.
Yeah, I do agree. I think mentorship, as you say, I do mentor on the CNP, Council of Nigerian Professionals, as well as Black Engineers of Canada. It's a huge advantage to have somebody who is going to be telling you this is what you're supposed to do. And a lot of also mentors, we have some access to some information. Because sometimes the mentors will sit and have a discussion, and then you're like, oh, this person is here, and then you get access to that information.
So I see a comment there. Someone says necessary tips. So maybe I can add more to what I said earlier. So if you're looking for a mentor, you have to be clear for yourself. What's your objective? What are you looking to achieve from that mentor that you're looking to have? So first of all, know the objective of the mentorship program that you want to have, or the mentorship relationship you want to have. Knowing the objective will help you identify who will be the best mentor for you. That way, if it's maybe you want to do small business, or you know you're targeting someone that is an entrepreneur, or a trades association or something, you can know, okay, this is the network I'm going into to look for a mentor. If it is regarding maybe your field as a technical person within your career or professional space, then you're looking specifically for someone who has either similar background or experience. If you're an engineer back home, here you cannot just become an engineer just because you're an engineer from because you're internationally trained engineer. For you to be called an engineer here, you also have to have the license to bear that title. So it means that you have to get your certification for PEng, and you also have to get your hours of working as an engineer to get all that done. So working and connecting within the professional body helps you. So you also need to identify what your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats that you have for each of this. Let's say for that career path you want to take, identify it. You know the strengths you have. When you're speaking with your mentor, your you're coming prepared. You're telling him this is my strength. This is the weaknesses I have. What is weakness? Weakness is when it comes to this, when you're talking about job, weakness is not, I talk too much, or I don't wake up early. No. So the weakness you're looking at, okay, I do not have my license, and I know I need to have my license, right? So I don't have it. There's something you can do about it. You can get your license, but it will take time and money. Now, you don't have money to get your license right now. What do you have to do? I know that Windmill, they normally will also provide support with funding for you to get your license. And why I'm saying this is because on identifying what your SWOT is, that's how you'll be able to target what support you need. You'll be able to cry for help. And then you can also get recommendation and pointers to, oh, this is where you can get this. Oh, this is where you can get that. Oh, this is not a weakness. I've spoken with people who identify certain things as weaknesses. And by the time we go through, we look at their transferable skills. It is a strength. It's not a weakness. We put it back in that bucket. And then you look at the opportunities. Where are you? What are the opportunities that are available out there? So when you look at them like that in that bucket, you will find out that you can easily identify what it is you're looking for. And then your mentor can support you.
Okay. So let's talk about salaries here. Somebody has a job and they are sitting in there and they are being paid a certain amount of money. And I think statistics shows that usually people from minority community are not are less paid compared to their peers of the same standard of education and experience within the same level. Why is that a problem? Why is it that we sell ourselves low, or is that we are not aware of what of our worth? Do we really know our worth and then we don't ask for it, or we are just happy with whatever is given to us?
I would say, starting off, reputable companies have a salary band for every role that they are filling. So there's a band that this is for it to be either 10,000 to 13,500. This is the band. So depending on your experience and maybe educational level, then you either be at the low end or you're at the high end of it, right? So even if you look at the high end of the band, they also look at possibility for yearly increase, right? Because the job is already benchmarked against other jobs within the organization. So I would say, look at salary guides. If an employer posts a job and does not publish the salary expectation for the role, some companies will post it. If they don't post it, look at salary guides. There are lots of them free online. You can download them, look at it, and also check. That way you're able to negotiate better, right? Because you kind of have an understanding of, for this role, within this is the expected salary band for it, and then you know how you're negotiating. But a lot of times too, when you're speaking to a recruiter and they ask you, what's your salary expectation? You can ask them, what is the band for this role? Mention it. I know that your company is a reputable company. There would already be a defined salary band for this role. What is it? Let them tell you, right? So, and then you can also always end it with, I'm also open to negotiation. Whether you put a figure on it or not, leave that open to negotiation. And then that way, because sometimes someone may be asking for a rate that is way higher than the salary band. Meanwhile, maybe they were actually open for negotiation.
Okay, so let's talk about promotion. So let's make it simple. Customer service. We are like 50 of us sitting behind the computer, and there is one position for a supervisor. How do I stand out? What are the qualities that I should possess? So what are you going to be telling me? That one position, this is what you're supposed to do, and this is what you're not supposed to do if you want to get to that position.
Earlier on, I mentioned that for you to, look at promotion, you have to be doing your current job well. Okay. So you're correct. You have to have been doing your job very well. For the customer service role, I'm sure there are metrics of how they are measuring their performance. So your error level, your understanding of the either the protocol of the procedure, the framework of the workflow and all of that, you have to be on top of your game. And for a supervisor role, that's added responsibility. That's a higher responsibility you're taking on. If you're doing your job really well, it means that you're ready to take on more responsibility. If you're struggling with your current role, promoting you is like putting you, just putting you up there to fail. So what assures any manager that the employee is ready for the next level is how well they're performing in their current job. You can't be, because you're upset that you haven't received maybe a promotion, and then you no longer maintain performance. Remember, the minimum is meeting expectation. Then of course you want to exceed because you want to stand out. So how can you exceed the expectation? If the service level agreement says response within 48 hours, you can look at it. Is it something that you can respond within 24 hours? These are the things that will indicate you're exceeding expectation. So look at the matrix of how your role is being evaluated. Let that shine through as you carry on your daily tasks and responsibilities. Again, putting your hand up, volunteering to take on more responsibilities to cover for other people. Job rotation. Some companies may have job rotation opportunities. Explore those, because it might be opportunity for you to actually see a different career path within the organization and not just the one that you are in. And yeah. So I don't know if that answered completely.
Yeah, it answers the question perfectly. But on the other hand, too, sometimes we have people who are really skilled at what they do. They really know what they do, but they don't have the skills for being a leader or managing people. From an HR standpoint, how do you try to dissuade people from getting into positions that they believe they can, but generally, so you're not sure? They might be performing well. Maybe somebody's performing well doing his lawn mowing, but he might not be a good manager managing the lawn mowing company.
I like that analogy. So I would say that so leadership it's not just about position. Leadership is how do you take the lead in whatever task that you're given. So if, for instance, you're a technical person, but you don't have people skills. To be a supervisor, you do need people skills. Those are skills that can be developed. Nobody is, I really, personally, I really don't like when I really don't agree with the leaders are born. I don't, because I feel that, well, we don't choose where we're born. So when you're born is the opportunities that presents itself, and how you take those opportunities that may create more opportunities for you. So you find people who were born into nothing and they come out, on top, right? So when I would say check. I think I've lost my chain of thought here, but yeah, I think I've lost my chain of thought.
That's okay. Let's go to a comment. I think you answered most of it. Let's go to a comment there. Taking you back to interviews. Okay, we can definitely do that. Why is it hard for any job seeker to be themselves at interviews? Is there a way for recruiters to make interviews less mystical? Has someone ever performed very well at an interview and disappointed you on the job, and vice versa? So let's take the first part. We are nervous freaks when we come into the HR and there are 3 people there sitting with their tie and black suits.
So let me tell you, everybody has a time in their life when they are tensed up, right? You get tensed up or you get jittery because something is very important to you. You do not want to fail. So you prepare for it. One of the ways to better manage the that anxiety that you feel is preparing for the interview. Look at the job description very well. Have a very good sleep at night. Don't overthink it, because some of the times it's because we overthink it that maybe we now go in and the anxiety kind of kicks in. So look for different ways that you can do. Maybe you can dance. Sometimes I go like, whoo, 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 and that kind of helps to disperse the energy that I'm feeling like I'm building up inside of me. So I would say another thing is sometimes I've had interviews that have been not so good. And either as a HR person, maybe I go into an interview and I see that the interview panel is not acting maybe very professional. That puts me off, and I'm like in that shock, and it impacts on my general outlook of the interview. But what I've learned over the years to do is, I just know this is not the organization I want to work in. So remember, you're not the only one that is being interviewed. You are also interviewing the employer. You want to know, is this the right place for me? I know that there's the need to quickly land a paying job. There's a lot of bills to pay. You spend most of your daily time in the office, even if it says 8 hours, we know that we're mentally we're spending way more hours in working. So it has to be a place that is not toxic. And sometimes you can tell from the interview that this is not the place I want to be. I don't want to work with this kind of person. So I would say, hope that you have a good interviewer, a good recruiter speaking to you, who will make you feel relaxed. And you should know that a lot of companies, they are investing as well on their on the recruitment. There's a lot of costs that is associated with recruitment. So sometimes maybe you can also give a feedback to the company if you feel the interview did not go well, right? So depends on how you feel about that. But I would say just be yourself.
Okay.
Try to listen to the questions and respond to them.
The second part was, has someone ever performed really well in an interview and then disappointed you after the person was hired?
There are people that know how to talk. Some people are very good talkers. So, and that's why as a recruiter, we normally would prefer using behavioral-based recruitment technique, because behavioral-based techniques will draw experiences from the candidates rather than just giving you, telling you what they think you want to hear. So yes, there are people who are good talkers, and then, they come in on the job and maybe they don't really know how to use the system or tools that they say they know how to use. But that shouldn't, I would say, that shouldn't really be your concern as a job seeker, right? It's
Yeah, let me just ask this question before we round up. Sometimes also people, I'll stay with interviews. So sometimes people come and they don't have any experience, and it's a big thing here in Canada. You don't have job experience. How did you navigate that?
When you say don't have experience, what do you mean?
Well,
you mean
yeah,
local
Canadian experience, local Canadian experience.
Okay, so the good thing is that in Canada, it's illegal for an employer to say you do not have Canadian experience. So that means they're discriminating against you, right? So your international experience is acceptable. Now you look at it specifically. is it a license or is it a regulated field? If it's a regulated field that you're working, it means that you need a license for you to work in that field. Then you're working towards getting your license, right? So, but if it's not a regulated field, you should be able to work with your experience. There are different ways of working. The world is a global village. There's different creativity that comes from having heterogeneous teams. A lot of organizations are recognizing that. So if it's an organization that does not value your international experience, that means I would say, ask yourself, do you want to work for such an organization? Right. So if they're saying you don't have experience to do you don't have a Canadian experience to work on a field that you have international experience for. However, it's okay for you to work in a line job in the production floor where you have zero experience, but they are willing to train you on the job. So again, it's about where are you targeting when you're searching for the job. You may not be getting a job at the level that you were internationally before coming to Canada. However, you may be able to still get into that field, maybe on a lower level, but you can still get into that field. You just have to target your job search efforts.
Okay, last question before we round up. If I have to apply for a job and we have these salary barriers and I want way much more than that, what are some other things you would tell me to ask instead of money?
Oh, total compensation package, the benefits, what's the benefits of the organization? Is it zero deductibles? Do they have extended healthcare benefits? Do they have wellness programs? These are things that if they're making an offer to you, they should be showcasing and sharing that information with you. So it's not so, because your total compensation comes up with your base salary, the health benefits, maybe bonus, so many other things. There's so many things that makes up the total compensation package. And of course also, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, why is it that a lot of us Africans, we don't ask for shares?
For shares?
Yeah. Because that's what I was expecting you to tell me, that you should ask for shares from the company.
I have never asked for shares. Maybe that's why my brain didn't go there. I've never asked for shares, right? I guess maybe it depends on what level, right? Maybe some VP levels, they do get shares, right? It's assigned to them based on the level. Some companies will also have shares available for their employees to purchase. Right. So I've never personally thought about asking my employer to give me shares as part of, if they're telling me we have shares available for you, I'm like, okay.
I think that's a very important negotiating tactics. If they tell you they're paying you $58,000 or $78,000 in a year, you can say, fine, I'm willing to accept that, but I'll need to have some shares from your corporation, even if it's not order, if it's not there. It just puts everybody at a very awkward situation.
That'll be very bold. That'll be very bold.
Yeah. Anyway, Dienye, it's been a nice 1 hour discussing HR with you. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your personal life experience with us. For those listening, please, we are now updating our YouTube channel. So go to YouTube, type Perspective Nations. We have a lot of new videos coming up, and we are going to be putting in as much videos there as possible. When you get there, definitely make your comments, share, and again, the next episode in 2 weeks is going to be how we get out of debt. It's a very interesting topic, and we are getting Albert, who is a specialist in debt management for Canada and America. He's going to be discussing that. And on May 26th, we are going to be having Petra, who is a Juno nominee reggae artist. She's going to discuss how the music industry works and how she makes money from that. Any last word for those listening?
Yes, I would say I am available because I know I saw a comment there that says they're job searching. I am available to have one-on-one with you if you want. I can review your resume. I can also do mock interviews with you, help you with your job search skills and all of that, and hopefully help you find that rewarding career that you're looking for in Canada.
Definitely. So Dienye, apart of just being a HR professional, she also does do a lot of mentorship. That's how we got to know each other. She's very passionate about what she does. She travels all over the place. I was worried that she might not even be here today. You came in when today?
No, last night.
Yes. So she's always helping others. Please reach out if you need help. Again, thank you for having this session on Perspective Nation. It's been an honor speaking to you for the past hour. Thank you, Dienye.
So I just added my my contact information, then my email address. So.
Oh, that's so grateful. Thank you so much. Those listening, you can definitely copy that and reach out to her. And it's been a nice time. Thank you so much. Anybody who wants to greet or say something, you can now turn on your microphones as well as your videos and say whatever you want to say. In the meantime, I'll stop recording. Have a good evening.